You're listening to the Cars of Carlisle Network, podcast episode number 136, featuring David Zysblat and Jeremy Birenbaum of Clasiq.com.
Cars of Carlisle is your favorite internationally downloaded podcast about all things automotive. Darren and his CFC team are ever searching for interesting automotive happenings, real stories about real car people, and fun features to inform and entertain you. Each week, the Cars of Carlisle crew brings you show topics ranging from car shows to team adventures to auto racing weekends to behind-the-scenes human interest stories from car nuts that live across town, across the country, or even across the globe. Come join the road trip.
Today, ride out with us to the American West Coast to speak with key members of the Clasiq.com online car community. This week's interview is with the CEO and Creative Director of Clasiq.com. From CFC Episode 84, published December 10th, 2019, you may recall hearing about Clasiq.com. Well, since then, they have launched their online Clasiq Car Auction. This new element to their enterprise features free pre-purchase inspections from an independent shop and no-cost secure payment protocols protect buyers' funds. It's time to head to California to speak with David and Jeremy. So, let's get revved up.
Hello and welcome back, Jeepers, to your favorite informative automotive podcast. I am your trusted host, Darren. As always, it is great and an honor to have you back with us again this week. Thank you so much for being here. In a few minutes, we'll be speaking with the CEO as well as the creative director of the online classic car auction venture, Clasiq.com, and that's Clasiq.com. Remember, this is your podcast. Together, it's all about car community and car culture. And through the Cars of Carlisle podcast, we aim each and every week to share new knowledge with you while balancing that with meeting interesting people and colleagues that are in our industry and our hobby, and at the same time having some fun along the way. If you happen to be in the South Central Pennsylvania area or anywhere near here in the next few months, please make it a point. You owe it to yourself to check out the AACA Museum in Hershey, Pennsylvania. You're bound to enjoy the museum's current exhibit, which is, Yeah, It's Got a Hemi. We featured that some time ago and talked with the guest curator, Bill Sangri. And I think that you're really going to enjoy this exhibit that they put together. And interestingly, the fact that 7 countries have built vehicles with hemispherical head engines. So beyond here in the U.S., 6 other countries were France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Sweden, and the UK, all with producing hemispherical head-based engines. So please support all the great work that the AACA Museum is doing. Be sure to visit them and see the Yeah, It's Got a Hemi for yourself in person. That exhibit will be open until April 23rd of 2021. Once again, this episode is brought to you with promotional consideration to our network's exclusive automotive OEM sponsor of the network, and that is Porsche Mechanicsburg. And being a member of the Porsche community is a special thing. We are proud to be affiliated with the entire team at Porsche Mechanicsburg. We are so excited for them as they are now officially in their brand new state-of-the-art Porsche Center. And we've been talking a lot about that over the months, but they are in that new building located at 6625 Carlisle Pike in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, just about a 15-minute drive from Carlisle. And the fact that they are part of the Faulkner Automotive Group, they've been around since 1932, and they are there to work with you. The experts is putting you in a Porsche that meets your needs, whether that be a brand new Porsche Taycan, it could be a new Macan, a Cayenne, a 911, the new 992 generation, a Porsche 718, a Panamera, or perhaps one of their pre-owned. They have excellent vehicles that have been Porsche certified or others that have been traded in. So perhaps a late model or a pre-owned is the way to go. But their experts are ready to help you, whether it be from a mechanical standpoint or for sales. Check out Porsche Mechanicsburg. All right, let's downshift to this week's trivia question. Now, I will say that this question is a bit far-reaching, and the answer is anything but scientific and specific, so it's a little different than normal. but I felt that it was appropriate for, of course, the guests that we have on this week, as they have a Clasiq car online auction. The question is, what defines a Clasiq car? That somewhat open-ended answer awaits you at the end of this episode. So now it's time to head to our phone interview with Clasiq.com, based in California. Here we go. Hello, Cubers, and this is Darren. I am speaking with Clasiq.com founder David Zysblat and creative director for Clasiq.com, Jeremy Birenbaum. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today from the West Coast.
Thanks for having us here today. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I know this recording is on Thanksgiving Eve, so for those maybe that are outside the U.S., it's a big holiday for us, but we wanted to make sure we got this recording in. We're going to be airing this in December. But November 30th, big date. Let's start with what that means for Clasiq.com.
Yeah, we're going to be launching our auction platform that we've been building out for the past 6 to 8 months. We've kind of been developing this way to buy Clasiq cars that hasn't been done before, and we kind of feel that has been needed in the industry.
And talk a little bit about that, Jeremy. I know that with that's going to be, it's an experience where users won't have the burden, if you will, of a lot of pop-up ads and things. They're going to have a pre-purchase process where they can have an inspection done by an independent agency or shop. The fact that they're going to have a free secure payment process that'll help isolate and protect their funds. And this is giving a lot of benefit to those that are out looking for that perhaps mid-60s or early 50s Clasiq vehicle, correct?
Correct. Yeah, let's be real. I mean, buying a car in today's climate is tough, and then wanting to make it a Clasiq car makes it even harder. And now everything is going online. And the best way to see these cars, if you can't actually go out and do it yourself, is to get at least one person to do it for you. Mm-hmm. And that's where the pre-purchase inspection comes in. And that at least gives the buyer some sort of knowledge into what they're getting into before they purchase the car. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't ask questions, you shouldn't seek out more information, but that's the first step in buying a car, is at least having someone look at it for you and let you know the kind of ins and outs that pictures can't show.
Mm-hmm.
The second step is that pictures and high-quality video are the best way to showcase the car, especially if you can't see it with your own eyes. So we feel that having a car that's photographed and videoed for every option we have is the perfect way to showcase each car that we have.
It makes a lot of sense. Well, may I ask David and Jeremy, how did, you are pivoting and making a great kind of a paradigm shift with the business and such. Was this, the genesis of this, was it more of customer demand? How did you identify what the market needed and then start to reposition and retool?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. It goes back to, I guess, 4 years ago when we actually started the company. And the company started on social media, on Facebook, where we set up a Facebook group about Clasiq cars and just started posting some pictures of cars, some videos of cars, and then we started to write some articles about cars. And the feedback on the videos and the pictures and the articles was amazing, was incredible. And we just started to engage with our audience and asking them, what are you looking for? What are your pain points? How can we best serve you? And they kept coming back to us. We would like a trusted way to buy and sell Clasiq cars. And so we were really surveying our audience and looking at all the data points and hearing what their needs and desires were in the Clasiq car market. And they kept coming back to us and telling us that transparency is ideal in this market, but there wasn't a solution that showcased that transparency, integrity, and trust in the online market. Mm-hmm. So we set up we researched the market, and then we have been, over the last, I would say, a year or so, we've been creating a website that encompasses the trust and transparency and the integrity. And what Jeremy was talking about before, the pre-purchase inspection, we want to showcase all the right things about the car, but also we know these are classic cars. There's always going to be issues with classic cars, and we don't want the buyer to have a nasty surprise once they pay 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 for that car, and then the car, arrives at that house and they suddenly see it's got all these scratches or there's a problem with the engine. So we've gone out, we've paid for an independent shop to do a pre-purchase inspection on the cars. And they've got a detailed report exactly on what's right and and sometimes what are the flaws of the car, so the buyers, can see that from the outset. And I think being honest up front when you're selling a classic car is really key to providing trust to your whole audience, and that's what we're trying to do. And at the same time, we've heard some horror stories of people buying cars on the internet. And when they buy the cars on the internet, they're sending, let's say, $50,000 through a wire, or they're sending a check, and they're not sure exactly who they're sending that money to. So we're providing an optional service, an escrow service, where there are no nasty surprises. And when you're sending the money gets held by a third party, and then when both the seller and the buyer are happy, the money is released.
Very smart. And I would imagine that this has taken quite a considerable amount of effort for the team to put all these logistical matters into play and into place. Maybe elaborate a little on that, just the incredible project to make this happen.
Yeah, you know what? It's almost like building a car, because you have like an idea of what you want, and you have all these big pieces that you need to fit in there. But then all the hard parts are like fitting all the tight things in and, finally finishing the website, getting it ready to the place where we want to launch it with the way that we think is the best way for buyers and sellers to showcase their car and purchase cars. And, it takes some steps here and there to figure out, and, getting pre-purchase inspections done across the country is tough, but we feel like that's something that really is important. And I think it's tough because it's worth it.
Yeah, truly. And I really think that you're making a game changer here, and I'm very excited for your launch on the 30th and what this can do for really the car community that we all know and love, and both of our businesses do our best to support. So I'm excited about that.
Absolutely.
So I'd love to talk a little bit about the process in which it's going to work.
Please do.
So we found that using our community and online resources across the internet, the best way to sell these cars is going to be we're listing them on Monday and they sell the following Sunday. So that gives us a full week for us to showcase the cars. Anyone that's interested can contact sellers, can comment on our website, ask questions. We can follow up with video, with photos on specific things. And it's an auction, so it lasts all week long and ends on Sunday. So, it's kind of exciting for us, and everyone wants to come home with a car, and what better time to do it than Sundays?
You got it. A great way to cap off the weekend. Excellent. Well, I think, Jeremy, that's a good line of discussion as far as how it will work. What else would, because what I'm excited about and hoping is that listeners of this show, because we have a lot of people that are classic car owners or want to add to their garage or want to get into it, what are some things that they ought to know so that they can sign up, and what's involved and all of that in order to jump feet first?
So, you have to do like any website, register, sign up to bid, enter a credit card, let people know you're serious about it. The bidding takes place all week, so you can kind of check back and forth and see where the auction is at in that respect of bidding. In terms of asking questions, each auction has its own section where you can follow up on the car, ask anything you might want the owner to respond with.
Yeah, I think we've also got 850,000 people in our community on social media, and a lot of them are experts in certain makes and models, and they're going to chime in into the comment section, and they're going to comment on each individual listing and give their expert opinion. And if you don't agree with their opinion, you can reply to them and say, I don't agree. So it's the community aspect of commenting on cars.
I like that. I think that's a great approach. Yeah, and I think that the fact that you have such a massive following and audience, the wealth of knowledge is vast.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and part of it comes down to, we love hearing these stories about the cars. So with this, we're able to help share that story that possibly helps sell a car. You know, where it was from, who built it, possibly some history in that respect, because everybody loves a story, right?
Right. They sure. And I think you nailed that, Jeremy, in the sense that it's the provenance, as far as maybe a celebrity didn't own a particular vehicle, but at the same time, knowing that it's only a two-owner, the fact that it's only had 1,000 miles on it on average per year. It was almost a barn find, restored, whatever the story may be. Everybody wants to know where their car came from and what its life was before it came to their own garage.
Yeah, and Clasiq is going to be the place where you can give everything about your car. It's not, just post 5 pictures, 200-character ad, and that's it. This is really detailed, in-depth community aspect to purchasing a Clasiq car.
Well, I think maybe it's not the most appropriate word, but what I think is it makes it a little bit more of an intimate process. It's not, as you said, just a standard eBay Motors or just a standard ad, but they really get to understand it. They can ask the necessary questions, and they feel as if they know the vehicle, A, before they bid, or perhaps before they win the overall process.
That's correct. And, talking about the intimate process, that also goes to the people that are selling their cars with us. It's not like you just list a car, put in your year, make, model, a couple of pictures, and it's on the website. We have a team that calls you and helps curate the listing. We're scheduling PPIs and photos for your car and handing off the process up to the day of auction, where now the seller is possibly answering questions. We can help out with any issues throughout the auction or questions that are involved. So it's really all inclusive. It's not just on the buyer side, but it's also on the seller side.
I like that.
Yeah, it's been a really hands-on service since the beginning. Speaking to customers, sellers all the time. Having lots of conversations with them, arranging, as Jeremy said, the PPIs, but also a professional photo shoot. Getting a professional photographer to come to your house and take pictures and do a walk around of the car, and then speaking to the sellers rather, and speaking to them about what they're looking for, what is the reserve price they're looking for, and finding the history of the car and the reason why they're selling the car. Yeah, that's it.
Well, David, to your point, I really like and I'm impressed with the personal touch, that this is what you're offering is truly value-based, and it's a service in the sense that you're not asking the seller to do all these things and to try and navigate this landscape alone, but rather you're giving them the tools and the support resources on hand, on site, to really walk them through all that needs to happen to make it as seamless and effective and really standardized as possible. I see a real value in that service, and this is one of the things too. My line of thought are, in light of the pandemic, and let's face it, that all businesses are having to reevaluate. You're providing something that we may, and trust me, we all enjoy the big Barrett Jackson and the Meekums and what have you, but you're providing a really specialty niche that doesn't require a large gathering of individuals, which is quite limited. We know that through SEMA and everything else. This is a way that you can deliver regardless of what the situation is in the world, social distancing or otherwise.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because if anyone's thinking about selling their car, they don't have to fill in 10,000 forms or pictures on the website. They just need to put in their basic details on their website, and we'll call them up, and then we'll get a better understanding of their car. We also have a valuation tool that we've been working on for the last couple of years. The valuation tool is for Clasiq cars, for any car that are 25 years or older, and we can actually give you a valuation of the estimation of what the car is worth today, so they can have a better understanding. That's based on a number of different metrics that we put into an algorithm. And so people can get the valuation of their car, and then we can have a chat with them, and we can talk about, as I said, the reserve that they're looking for, talk about the history of the car. And then only after that, and we both decided that we want to move forward, do we ask them to send us, another 10 photos or more details about the car. So we really don't want to put it onto the potential seller to send us a whole load of information. And then after they've spent 10 minutes, half an hour sending us the information, we just say no. So the first step, I think, is the most important step, but also not to take too much time away from the seller. Just send us the basic information, and then we'll give you a call and we'll discuss it.
No, I like that, David, and I think that it's very professional to do that multi-phase vetting. And it is very considerate to be respectful of the seller's time, and you're really considering all aspects of the process, which I think that's great.
Yeah, I agree, and really, the story of the car. Everyone has a story. I know Jeremy touched on it before. Every car has a story, and we've been doing this for the last few years. And pre-Corona, pre-COVID, we've been out there. We've been telling stories of Mustang Sue and her 1966 Mustang. Every car has a story. We went to Detroit and we interviewed some of the greatest car designers.
I love that episode. That was great.
Of the 1950s and 60s. And it's so fascinating just sitting down with individuals, whether they're famous or not famous, and just hearing the stories of their car and their history. People talk about. You can take people back to the 1960s just by opening a discussion with them, and they remember the first time they worked on the car with their dad, or they went to the movie theaters, with their girlfriends. Cars bring back so many memories to people.
Yes.
And what we are trying to do is to facilitate those stories and tell those stories, whether it's in video content that we've done pre-COVID, or whether it's, when someone's listing a car, tell the story of the car.
You got it. Yeah, and I think... Go ahead, Jeremy.
Another interesting thing that David touched on is that the story brings entertainment. And the way we see it is each week we have different cars that are coming up on the website with high-quality photos. And it kind of adds a level of entertainment to the viewer, because each week it's changing, it's something different. It's almost like a small car show. And,
yes.
You remember certain things about cars when you grew up, or my mom drove this, or I did that in this car, and, it's fun.
It is. I think you both have hit on something that's really important to me, and I think that's where our businesses align, is the fact that each week I feature the guest, because to me the car community comes first, and then with that the vehicle is essentially the vehicle of the story itself. And you hear about, to what you both said, the first date, or riding in the back, the third rear-facing seat of grandma's station wagon, or whatever it might be. Jeremy, I know you talked about the truck and your dad. I mean, all these memories, and you reminisce, it conjures up great feelings. It is the story. It is the people. And we're fortunate that we're in a hobby and an industry and a business that the tool or the device is the vehicle, and that's what brings back, evokes all these emotions. And that's so critical.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. The car is just a vehicle to, create these small communities of people. And by the end of the day, you're not even talking about the cars. You're talking about your life and maybe something related to cars, but it's just that common connection point that we all have together that binds us and that creates that bond.
Well, I really I'm excited what this is going to do, and I believe you guys are cutting edge on this whole niche, and it's going to change the landscape for the classic car market, both selling and buying. What else would you like to share with these listeners? I'm so glad to have the community and audience that I have, and you have a tremendous following as well. What would you like the Cars of Carlisle community to know? Anything that we haven't touched on? Anything about just the business and how you guys are continuing to grow and expand and do just that? Serve all of our fellow car nuts.
We are 100% community driven. I mean, if you email info@Clasiq or any Clasiq email, you're going to get either David or one of I. And, we love to hear things from the community, and it's different points maybe sometimes we don't see, or, hey, we'd love to get an article about this, a video about that. Like, if people send it to us, we really put that into consideration. And I think that's the coolest part and the connection that we have, And if you want to share your car, even if it's not for sale, you just want to share it to the Facebook community. Send it to us. We'll put it up there. If you want help valuing your car, you don't want to sell it, we have our valuation tool that's built just for you.
Yeah.
If you do want to sell it, give us a call. We'll talk you through the process. We're trying to make sure that you get what your car is worth and that you're happy with where it goes to in the whole process.
I like it. No, I think that makes a lot of sense.
And yesterday, I got it. Not yesterday, last week, I got an email from a guy who saw us on Instagram, and he said, "I've been following you guys for ages. I love classic cars. I'm trying to get into journalism. Can I write an article for you guys?"
Oh, wow!
And I was like, "Of course you can write an article. There's a section. There's a section on our website, Classic Content." And we've got a lot of video content, we've got articles, and we've got guides. And if anyone wants to write some articles, or if anyone wants to get involved in any type of content on our site, we're more than happy to speak to people and give people an audience, give people a way to showcase their knowledge to the world.
That's tremendous. And what I really appreciate that, David, is just the fact that you're giving someone else an opportunity to get into the whole communication side of our hobby, our industry.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in this together.
Right.
It's all one big community. There's different niches in the community, but we're all the same. We're all trying to provide value to everyone else and bring back good memories and showcase good cars and showcase good stories. So we're one community.
Precisely. I am so on board with that. That's why it's part of my marketing tagline.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, we get messages all the time from people that say, like, hey, I couldn't leave the house today, or there's no car show in my area, and some of the cars you guys are posting are awesome. They brighten up my day. And so that's awesome for us, but we also feel like if you live in a neighborhood or you're seeing some cool cars that you want to share with people that you don't think people are seeing, let us know. We would love to share that.
That's a great way to amplify that message and give people a chance. And no better time than now. I think we all, obviously, through the most recent wave of the pandemic and everything, tightening of state restrictions and what have you, this is all the more important, where people need to feel connected and part of something larger than themselves in the community.
I think we all feel that we all have a sense that we need to belong to something. We need to have some kind of belonging to a community, whether that's a car community, a classic car community, or whether that's religious or political. There's that sense of belonging, and we feel that we need like-minded people around us so that we can share our beliefs, our views, our passions. And that's exactly what this classic car community is. Some great podcasts like this podcast, and some great websites, some great content websites, some great auction websites like Clasiq.com. And we're just all doing the same thing, just in different areas.
You hit on the fact that we might have different focuses or genres or niches within that, but it all creates this total tapestry of people who just love cars, and they just want to talk about them, they want to share, they want to know the stories, they want to experience, they want to walk around them, or if they can't, at least virtually see them, experience them, hear the stories, just like Jeremy's trip, the whole Detroit, and talking about the designers and how they would sneak some things out of the studios and that they shouldn't have, but then these artifacts are priceless. The fact that you could see what maybe a 59 Cadillac may have looked like, but maybe never made it to production. That information you just can't get anywhere.
Yeah, and unfortunately, one of the designers actually passed away 2 weeks ago, and Russ Rusnoff, he was one of the guys that helped design the Corvair, and so it just felt really important and special to me to know that I was able to go in there and see those drawings and hear that information and get it on tape one last time.
Yes.
To share.
Yes. Well, I want to give you guys the final time behind the wheel. What would you like to share? We'll start with Jeremy. Anything else?
Man, you asked a tough question. What would I like to share? You know what?
No softballs here.
No softball. That's okay. We spent a lot of time on this website. I'd love to have your listeners check it out, give us some feedback, comment on some cars, possibly buy some cars.
Absolutely.
That would be the best validation right now.
Okay. Well, I certainly underscore that and endorse it, and I do hope that the Cars of Carlisle community really embrace what Clasiq.com is doing and what's happening as of the close of the month of November. So terrific. You got it, Jeremy. David, you have the mic.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I obviously endorse what Jeremy said. But I also think people go check out our Facebook page, because on our Facebook page there's huge amounts of comments, discussions about all types of cars, pickup trucks. Engage with people. Start speaking to someone you haven't spoken to ever. Find out maybe someone who's got a different opinion than you, and maybe it will change your opinion, and maybe maybe you'll change their opinion. Mm-hmm. I think if people are sitting at home wondering what to do because they can't get out, go on Facebook, go on Instagram, go on some blogs. It doesn't necessarily have to be ours, but go and engage with people, talk to people, feel part of the community. Showcase your passion, your love for classic cars, and I'm sure that will bring some light and some good times into your life.
I like that. Really well said. Well, gentlemen, I am very, very proud to know you guys and to work with you and help showcase all that's coming and all that's new. And we would love to have you back in a future episode to talk more about maybe 3-6 months into the launch and how it's going and what the buying and selling community is sharing. I'm sure that you will be adapting and evolving to the needs of the clients as you go. And I think there's an opportunity for yet another chapter to talk where Clasiq is as we get further down the road.
Yeah, totally. And I remember last time we were talking, we were saying we got to get you out to the West Coast.
Yes.
And I know not right now. Right now is not the time to be planning trips, but we'll keep pushing that back, and hopefully maybe we can record one of these together.
I look forward to that. In fact, I know it's going to happen. Just we're gonna make it happen, and as soon as we can make it happen. So I accept that, and you better believe it. I was just in Southern Cal and did the Pacific Coast Highway 1 and drove all of that and had an amazing time this summer. So that I kind of was able to get that trip in. But yes, once I can get back on the plane and we can travel interstate again safely, most definitely. Well, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to wrap this, but please, as you heard David and Jeremy say, check out Clasiq. Clasiq.com and check out all the great things happening there.
Cheers, Darren. Thanks a lot.
You are very welcome. We are back, and on behalf of the entire team at Cars of Carlisle, we hope you enjoyed our guests this week, David Zysblat and Jeremy Birenbaum of Clasiq.com. Be sure to check out all the projects underway with their team on www.clasiq.com. By the way, Cubers, have you subscribed to the Cars of Carlisle? If not, now's the time. In fact, we would really welcome the chance to be in your queue each and every week by subscribing and doing so. It's free, and that way you won't miss a single episode. It'll be queued up and ready to go every Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, depending on where you are around the globe. And we are so grateful that we have 43 countries downloading this podcast. Have you rated us 5 stars on iTunes, or written a positive review, or shared this podcast with your car buddies? Any of that would be greatly appreciated. We so very much appreciate the fact that you support us, whether it be through paypal.me/Cars of Carlisle with a donation, or through your support, or being a fan and spreading the word and getting those that maybe aren't listening aware and on to the show each week. All of that means a lot, and it really helps us keep this podcast going flat out at full throttle for you. Now, let's get that trivia answer, the one that I said could be a little bit non-scientific. The question, just to refresh memory, was what defines a quote-unquote classic car? Well, I've looked at various sources, and we all know that depending on what state you live in, usually if a car is 20 years older, you can get a classic plate perhaps as early as 20 years after the production year, some 25 years. But generally speaking, a classic car is an older car. In fact, classic is synonymous with old, with everything that we know and through the research. But it is that 20 plus years or older. Definitions are various, and there's quite a few. But the common theme is that it is an older car that has some, it wasn't scrapped, it's worth restoring or keeping. It has some sufficient, there's actually some historical interest in it to be a collectible and worth keeping around. Now, I know that, like I said, doing a little deeper dive, some different organizations, the Classic Car Club of America has a definition where it's either American or foreign-built vehicle produced between the years 1915 and 1948. The Antique Automobile Club of America, the AACA, which was founded in 1935, they see it as a classic being a vehicle that is greater than 25 years old. So that's, like I said, it's not a hard and fast definition, but it was worth sharing specifically because of our guests this week and them being at the center of the classic car industry. And we very much appreciate both Jeremy and David giving of their time. Well, my friends, we have reached the end of this week's road trip. As always, we really appreciate you being part of it. You are this community, and this is what makes this podcast. We so gratefully accept all the contributions and the support that you give. We are excited to have you come back next week. In fact, we're going to have a Sam and Lou Intracast episode, and they're going to be featuring the history of Hummer. So be sure to check that out. Remember that this is your podcast. We want to hear your voice. Email us at carsofcarlisle@outlook.com. Because together it is all about car community, car culture. For now, I'll say, drive well, be well, take care.